to my YouTube channel, and for today's video, I will be talking about meats, poultry, and eggs. Let's start with the composition of meats. Composition of meats has what we call the muscle tissue. Muscle tissue consists of major three components: the water, protein, and fat. Let's talk about first the water. Water, it is about 75% of muscle tissue. With such high percentage of water, one can see why sinkage is a big problem when it comes to cooking meat. When we say sinkage, meats become smaller due to the loss of moisture. Too much moisture loss means dry meat, loss of weight, and perhaps in food business, loss of profits. Aside from water, we have protein. It is the most important nutrient and the most abundant solid material in meat. Did you know that 20% of muscle tissue is protein? Proteins coagulates and solidifies when it is heated, which becomes firmer and loses moisture. Coagulation is related to doneness.
A few moments later.
This means it becomes firmer and loses moisture. Coagulation is related to doneness. In dry heat cooking, when protein has coagulated to the desired degree, this means the meat is said to be done. Another component is what we call the fat. It accounts for the 5% of muscle tissue. Because of health and dietary concern, most meat animals are being bred and raised for the lower fat content in the past years. Nevertheless, a certain amount of fat is desired for the three main reasons. The first one is juiciness. Marbling is an intermixture of fat and lean meat, especially when evenly distributed in the cut of meat. The juiciness enjoy a well-marbled beef due to more fat than to moisture. Surface fat protects meat from drying out during cooking, as well in storing. Next is tenderness. Marbling separates muscle fibers, making them easier to chew. And the last one is flavor. Fat is perhaps the main source of flavor in meat. A well-marbled prime tough-grade steak tastes beefier than the same cut of the lower grade. Aside from three major components, the water, protein, and fat, we have what we call the carbohydrates. In carbohydrates, meat contains a very small amount of this nutrient. Maillard reaction happens when protein reacts with carbohydrates and undergo a complex chemical reactions. Takes place when meat is browning by roasting, broiling, and sautéing. Without these carbohydrates, the desirable flavor and appearance of browned meat would not be achieved. I'm done talking about the composition of meats. Let's have its structure. The first one is the muscle fibers. Lean meat is composed of long and thin muscle fibers bound together in bundles. This determines the texture or the grain of a piece of meat. Under muscle fibers, we have what we call the fine grain meat. Fine grain meat is composed of all small fibers bound in small bundles. Coarse texture meat has large fibers. Muscle fibers are bound together in a network of protein called connective tissue. Also, each muscle fiber are covered in a sheet of connective tissue. To cook meat successfully, one should know the following. Meats are highest in connective tissue if these are come from muscular region or from an older animals. Have more connective tissues than muscle in the back of the animals. Meats high in connective tissue can be made more tender by using a proper cooking techniques. There are two kinds of connective tissue. The first one is collagen, which is color white, and the second one is elastin, which is yellow. Long, slow cooking in the presence of moisture breaks down or dissolves collagen by turning it into gelatin and water. Moist heat cooking methods at low temperature are most effective for turning meat high in connective tissue in a tender and juicy finished products. Other factors that also help tenderize collagens are acid and tenderizers. Acid helps to dissolve collagen. Marinating meat in an acid mixture or adding an acid such as tomato or wine to the cooking liquid helps to tenderize it. When we say tenderizer, these are the enzymes such as papain extracted from papaya that are added to meat by the cook or injected into the animal before slaughter. Exercise using enzyme tenderizer. Too long exposure to the room temperature can make meat undesirably mushy. The last component included in connective tissue is that older animals have higher proportion of elastin than younger animals. Elastin is not broken down in cooking. Tenderizing can be accomplished only by removing elastin or cutting away any tendons, and by mechanically breaking up fibers like pounding and cubing for cube steaks, grinding for hamburgers, slicing the cooked meat very thinly against the grain. Meats. Start with beef. It originates from the cattle that are classified according to age and gender. Under beef, we have what we called steers. These are male cattle that are castrated while young so that they will gain weight quickly. Followed by bulls. Consumers often do not see the topper meat from bulls. These older uncastrated males that provide stag meat are usually used for breeding and then later for the processed meats and pet foods. Third one, we have what we call the heifers and cows. Heifers are females that have not born a calf. The meat from cows and female cattle that have born calves is less desirable than that from steers or heifers. Fourth one, we have the calves. 3 to 8 months old, calves are too old for veal and too young for beef. If these go to market between 8 to 12 months, its meat is referred to as the baby beef. The last one, we have what we call the veal. It comes from the young calves and beef cattle, either male or female. Between the age of 3 weeks and the 3 months, these very young animals are fed a milk-based diet or formula and have its movements greatly restricted, resulting in meat with an exceptionally milky flavor, pale color, and tender texture. If the meat of cow is called beef, the meat of sheep are called lamb and mutton. Lamb and mutton are the meat of the sheep. The primary difference between the two is the age of animal from which it comes. In general, lamb comes from the sheep less than 14 months old and a mutton from those over 14 months. Mutton is also darker and tougher than lamb and has a stronger flavor, which grows even more pronounced as the animal matures. The quality of a finished meat product depends not only on the proper selection and cooking of meat, but also on its proper storage. Fresh meat is highly perishable. The high cost of meat makes it essential to avoid spoilage. When storing up fresh meats, the first thing to do is to check purchases on arrival to ensure that the purchased meat is good quality. Do not wrap tightly. Bacteria and mold thrive in moist, stagnant places. Air circulation inhibits their growth. Store meat loosely arranged on pans or racks to allow air circulation between the pieces, but cover cut surfaces to prevent excessive drying. Do not open vacuum-packed meats until ready to use. Store at 32 to 36 degrees Fahrenheit or equivalent to 0 to 2 degrees Celsius. Meat does not freeze until about 28 degrees Fahrenheit or equivalent to -2 degrees Celsius. Keep meats separated in the cooler and on the work table to avoid cross-contamination. Use as soon as possible. Fresh meats keep well only for 2 to 4 days. Ground meats keep even less well because so much surface area is exposed to bacteria. Cured and smoked products may keep up to 1 week. For those reasons, frequent deliveries are better than long storage. Do not try to rescue meats that are going bad by freezing them. Freezing will not improve the quality of a spoiling meat. For the frozen coolers clean. Wrap frozen meats well to prevent freezer burn. Store at 0 degree Fahrenheit or equivalent to -18 degrees Celsius or colder. Rotate stock. Follow the first in, first out or the FIFO. Frozen meats do not keep indefinitely. Recommended shelf life at 0 degree Fahrenheit or equivalent to -18 degrees Celsius for beef, veal, and lamb is 6 months. For pork is 4 months because the pork fat turns rancid easily in the freezer. Defrost carefully. Tempering in the refrigerator is best. Defrosting at room temperature encourages bacterial growth. Do not refreeze thawed meats. Refreezing increases loss of quality. Keep freezers clean all the time. I'm done talking about the storage of meats. Let's have the knowledge on poultry and eggs. The versatility, popularity, and relatively of low cost of poultry items make it ideal for all kinds of food service, from high-end restaurants to cafeterias and fast food restaurants. Also, chicken and turkey are popular among the diet-conscious people because these are lower in fat and cholesterol, unlike to the other meats. The flesh of poultry is a muscle tissue, as is the flesh of beef, lamb, veal, and pork. Its composition and structure are essentially the same as those of meats. The muscle tissue is composed of about 75% of water, 20% of protein, 5% fat, and other elements including carbohydrates in small quantities. When it comes to maturity and tenderness, use of exercise is of less concern in poultry. Most poultries are so young that they are relatively tender throughout. However, there are differences between light meat and dark meat. When we say light meat, these are breast and wings that are less fat, less connective tissue, and it cooks faster. While dark meats are legs including drumsticks and thighs that are more fat, more connective tissue, and it takes longer to cook. Duck and goose have dark meat, but the same difference in connective tissue hold true. The dark color of meat is due to a protein called myoglobin. This protein stores oxygen for muscles used during the period of great activity. This protein stores oxygen for muscles to use during periods of great activity. The breast muscles of birds are used for flying. And because chickens and turkeys are rarely fly, if ever, these muscles don't need a great deal of myoglobin. Maturity is a major consideration when selecting poultry. Young, tender birds are cooked by dry heat methods such as broiling, frying, and roasting, as well as by moist heat methods.
One eternity later.
While older topper birds need slow, moist heat cooking to be made palatable. Aside from poultry composition and structure, let's talk about the poultry classification and market forms. The following terms are used to classify poultry and market forms. The first one is kind, pertaining to the species such as chicken, turkey, and duck. Followed by class, the subdivision of kind, depending on age and sex. We have what we call style, the amount of cleaning and processing. For live, rarely purchased in food service. For dress, killed, bled, and flock, feathers removed, also rarely seen in food service. For ready to cook, it should be dressed and eviscerated or internal organs removed, with head and feet removed, available in whole or cut up parts. Aside from style, we should consider its conditions. For condition, fresh, chilled, frozen bulk, individually quick frozen or IQF. Ice, irradiated poultry that has exposed to electronic beam or gamma radiation that sterilized product, also known as cold pasteurization. And the last one is additives. This is any substance that added to food for the purpose of improving its appeal when it comes to flavor, smell, texture, extending storage life, maximizing performance, and protecting nutritive value is pertains to additives. Additives that commonly used in poultry is salt or the monosodium glutamate and the sodium erythrobate. Under class category, we have what we call the marinated, which enhance with moisture or flavor agent, which keep processed poultry meat from changing color. Next is the RTC or ready to cook. The third one is seasoned, which flavored added including spice mixture. Next is breaded and buttered, coated with either breadcrumbs or buttered to be baked or fried. Injection or a water-based flavor or water retention agent is added to the bird or meats. ISP or isolated soy protein is added. Enhance or pump a solution to guaranteed moistness. Basted, enhance with moisture agent only. And the last one is combination, which more than one of the categories are included. Poultry are packed in a loose bag known as modified atmospheric packaging or MAP. A modified atmosphere containing higher amounts of carbon dioxide or nitrogen is pumped into bags, slowing bacterial growth. Ideally, poultry item lasts up 10 to 14 days topped with ice or traditional packaging method or in MAP. Fresh, ready-to-cook poultry can be kept safely in the refrigerator at 40 Fahrenheit equivalent to 4 degrees Celsius or below up to 3 days. It should be stored in a vapor-proof wrapping in which it is purchased. It is best kept in the bottom portion of the refrigerator to prevent its drippings from contaminating other food. Frozen, whole poultry can be stored from 6 to 12 months at 0 degree Fahrenheit or equivalent to negative 18 degrees Celsius, whereas leftover cooked poultry can be frozen for up to 4 months. Breaded or fried poultry should never be thawed and refrosted. Eggs are one of the most versatile to prepare among all other food items. And now, we are done with the composition and structures of meat and poultry. Let's have understanding eggs. In its most basic form, this can be cooked or eaten on their own. Fried, scrambled, poached, and boiled. The unique physical and chemical property of eggs also make them invaluable ingredients in many prepared dishes. Eggs are used in food preparation in one of these functions, giving a foam structure to cake and meringues, thickening custards and pudding, adding color to lemon meringue pie and eggnog, emulsifying mayonnaise and hollandaise sauce, binding ingredients in meatloaves and casserole, coating food prior to breading, and glazing pastries and breads. Aside from meats and poultries, eggs has its own composition. Eggs has 5 major components. Start with the yolk, albumen or the egg whites, shell membrane, air cells, and shell. Let's start with yolk. This constitutes about a third 30% of an egg's white. Dense in nutrients, the yolk serves to nourish the chick. A white, pinhead-sized germinal disc sits on the surface of the yolk. This appears darker if the egg has been fertilized, but has no effect on the taste. Functional properties or nutritional value of the egg. The color of the yolk depends on the hen's diet. Pigments in the chicken feed, such as beta-carotene, cause color ranging from pale yellow to deep red. Eggs are known for having albumin or the egg white. It accounts for almost 3/5 or 58% of an egg's weight and is made up largely of water and protein. Although it appears to be one mass, the egg white is actually constructed of the layers differing in viscosity, alternating from thick to thin. Around the yolk is a layer of the thick protein called albumin. The calyce at the top of the bottom of the egg anchor the egg yolk and the thick egg surrounding it. Aside from yolk and the albumin, eggs has shell membranes. Between the egg white and shell are two membranes, an inner and outer shell membrane. These press up against the shell and protect the egg against bacterial invasion. A pocket of air is important in egg. Air cell, it is a pocket of air found at the larger end of the egg. As freshly laid egg cools, its contents contract, causing the inner shell membrane to separate from the outer shell membrane, forming the air cell. And the most important part, and the last one, is shell. A hard calcium carbonate shell protects the internal contents of an egg, which comprises 12% of an egg's white. Commercially sold eggs are washed, which removes this protective cuticle. Aside from meats, eggs has its own types. Let's start with the chicken. Under chicken, we have the 3 types of eggs. The first one is the standard eggs. Most eggs sold to consumers are white-shelled chicken eggs that have not fertilized. Shell color does not influence the egg's quality, flavor, and nutrient value. Next, the fertile eggs. Only fertile eggs, usually identified by a red spot on top of inner contents, hatch into chicks if incubated. Refrigeration stops the growth process. These are not more nutritious than non-fertilized ones. These are the eggs that are laid by the cage-free, free-roaming hens that are raised on certified organic feed and have access to the outdoors. Hens are given only feed that is grown without synthetic pesticides, fungicides, herbicides, or fertilizer. 100% of the feed's agricultural ingredients must be certified organic. Antibiotics and growth hormones are prohibited, although these are not found in any shell eggs. In organic eggs, we have what we call the pure organic feed, where hens are fed or feed the finest organic or non-GMO grains and seeds from certified pesticide-free fields. An organic feed mill, we own and operate Southern certified organic feed mill for poultry, which ensures the highest quality and purity. And now, let's proceed to non-chicken eggs. The first one is duck eggs. These eggs are richer due to more than triple the cholesterol of 619 grams and double the fat of 10 grams content compared to chicken eggs that 212 milligram cholesterol or equivalent to 5 grams fat. Historically, duck eggs are more commonly consumed in Asian cuisine. Next, goose eggs. Larger and more flavorful than either duck or chicken eggs. Goose eggs are also much higher in cholesterol, with about 1,227 milligrams and pot equivalent to 19 grams. The third one, ostrich eggs. The largest of all eggs weighs about 3 pounds and is equivalent to about a dozen of chicken eggs. Approximately 6 inches long and 5 inches wide, individual ostrich eggs are more a novelty than a common source of food for consumers. Aside from ostrich eggs, let's have the quail eggs. These dainty, delicate eggs are often hard-boiled. These are used most often as a gourmet garnishes or salad ingredients. And the last one is turkey eggs. These are bigger than chicken eggs but not as popular, primarily due to its cost. This interesting topic would not be complete without talking about the storage of eggs. These are laid and lose quality very rapidly at room temperature. Eggs are aged more in one day at room temperature than in a week in refrigerator. The chance of eggs of being internally contaminated are relatively low. But external bacterial contamination is possible and certain precaution must be taken to reduce risk. In having a proper storage of eggs, here are the 2 main ways to do it properly. Always store eggs in the refrigerator, never at room temperature. Egg containing food items should be refrigerated until served. And the last one is cold egg dishes should be stored below 40 degrees Fahrenheit or equivalent to 4 degrees Celsius, while hot egg dishes should be kept about 140 degrees Fahrenheit, equivalent to 60 degrees Celsius for up to 1/2 hour or 1 hour on a buffet. Or 1 hour on a buffet. ayun lang guys. I hope may natutunan kayong panibago from my new video. And sana, especially do sa mga classmates ko, nagkaroon na kayo ng idea kung paano ko nga ba ginawa yung informative vlog natin for the major subs. So yun lang guys, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, please subscribe, like, and share this video. Click nyo lang yung notification bell icon and share nyo na rin tong video sa mga friends nyo. And please guys, stay safe. Mag-ingat tayo lagi and panatiliin natin malusog ang katawan natin dahil yun ang pinaka-importante ngayon. Yun lang, bye! God bless! Thank you!